Hi everybody, let's talk about dividing by 2. Our essential question today is, what does dividing by 2 mean? So we're going to look at putting things into 2 groups because that's what dividing by 2 is. Let's unlock the problem and I'll explain more as we go. So in our problem, it says there are 10 hummingbirds and 2 feeders in Marissa's backyard. If there are an equal number of birds at each feeder, how many birds are at each one? So what do we need to find? Well, first, we need to read the question a second time, because the first time we were making sure we understood the words. Now we're going to make sure we understand what we're looking for. So here we go. There are 10 hummingbirds and 2 feeders. Okay? That's our important information. And they're in Marissa's backyard. If there are an equal number of birds at each feeder, how many birds are at each one? That's what we're looking to find. How many birds are at each feeder? So what do we need to find? We're looking for how many birds are at each feeder. And then it says circle the numbers you need to use. We've already done that. There's 10 hummingbirds and 2 feeders. So what can we use to help us solve this problem? Well, counters, and I've discussed different counters that y'all can use from home, are always a good idea. It gives you something that you can physically touch and move around to understand how to divide. So we're going to use manipulatives or counters to figure out this problem. I have here 10 colored sticks. I have 2 of each color just because that makes my mind happy. So let's work this problem together. I have 10 sticks. That represents the 10 hummingbirds. And I have 2 feeders. So let's say that I draw 2 circles to put my sticks in. Okay, I went ahead and got a blank white piece of paper so I can draw this out. So here we go. I have 10 sticks. That represents my 10 hummingbirds. And then I have 2 circles. That represents my 2 feeders, my 2 bird feeders. So there's an equal number of birds at each feeder. That means that the same number is at each feeder. So let's make the number equal. I have 2 yellow birds, 2 purple birds, 2 blue birds, 2 green hummingbirds, and 2 orange hummingbirds. So how many do I have at each feeder? Well, if I count, it should be an equal number. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at that feeder, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at this feeder. So is it equal? 5 and 5, that's an equal number. So what do we need to do next? How do I know how to record my answer? Well, I've drawn my model. I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to this paper so that we can see it on the page that you have in front of you as well. Let me scoot in real quick. So we did our circles and we drew our birds, or we moved our birds into each one. And we know that we have 5. 5 birds at each feeder. So how many did we have in all? We had 10. That's our dividend. How many equal groups? 2 equal groups. That's our divisor. So how many are in each group? We said 5 birds are at each feeder. That means that 10 divided by 2 equals 5. Or you can write it this way. 10 divided by 2 equals 5. We know that because there are 5 counters in each group and there are 5 hummingbirds at each feeder. This is division by 2. Dividing things into 2 equal groups. That's what division by 2 is all about. And that's what we're going to practice in these pages. Go ahead and slip to the next slide and view the next lesson. We'll talk a little bit more about dividing by 2.